Okay, so I am making my late mother's famous divinity, and everybody over the years has loved her divinity, and several people would ask her to make it. She only made it on special occasions like Christmas. It's very tedious, and she has some secrets that she did that made it so successful because divinity can be like super hard to make. So I was going to share that today because I'm making it today. I'm doing a lot of things that she used to do. I'm missing her, and I'm trying to keep her traditions alive, her and my late memoirs. Making candy and cookie boxes for everybody. My memoir used to do that for Christmas every year. And so I decided to try to do several of my mom's things. Her cookies was another thing that everybody loved. Maybe I could do that one later. But she did have several techniques that she did that was very unique. My dad said she stayed up one night, all night, trying to figure out perfect the divinity. And I will say, so far, I can't believe what she called, because she has 2 different recipes in the recipe book. And I guess she went back and rewrote what she found out. But like, I wouldn't have even thought to look at this, but even down to the parts where you put the Karo in, I think it's like 1.5 cups or something like that, and then the water, however much. Well, she said if there is vanilla already in your Karo, you have to put an extra 1/4 cup of water in it. So thank goodness I looked at my Karo after I read that, and I went by her updated recipe to have the extra water, because sure enough, my Karo in little bitty print underneath it had vanilla included. So I'm going to show you a few things of what she did. That was some of her unique ways. She had a particular pot that she used, and she said that this was key, and I inherited this pot. I'm so excited. It's one of those old, I don't know if you can see it, old, heavy, I think it's called, kind of like the Magalite pots. But she says just use a heavy boiler because you're going to have it boiling and stuff, and you don't want it to burn while you're waiting on it to get to a certain stage. I've only made it once, I think, in this pot since I inherited it, and it actually turned out fantastic. I was so excited. But there's so much time in between when I make it that it's kind of like I have to relearn over again. It's kind of like an art to it. But anyway, one of the things that she did is she got her buttered plates and buttered spoons ready, because when you get to the part where you have to dip it out, it starts turning hard and chalky so fast. You got to have all of this ready. It's a really fast process at the end. So I don't know if you can see it. All the buttered plates and buttered spoons. Now, her recipe calls for a teaspoon. I have tablespoons out too, just in case I run out. One of the other things is she said to use, this is the only glass one I have right now, use a glass bowl, and you have to make sure that it's free from any soap or grease film. And she put it in the freezer to get it good and cold while she's doing her other stuff. And then the egg whites, I think, have to be cold too, so we get those out, later in the process. But there on her recipe, she says some other things too, but that's what's not on her recipe that you wouldn't know. But it gets to a certain stage, like the hard ball candy stage is what you're looking for. Oh, another thing is when it gets to that hard candy ball stage where you dip a little into, where you put a little bit into a cup of cold water to test it to see if it's hard. You'll notice that when you're dipping your spoon in your sugar mixture and you're lifting it up, when it gets really close or it's ready, the sugar that usually just falls, it will start feathering and floating in the air. That was one of her tips to know that it was getting to the part where it was good and ready. But the end of the process is very, very fast. And once all the sugar is in the mixture, she divided it into thirds. I'll share her recipe in the comments or in the pictures. You'll be able to read all that part. But at the very end, she would beat it with a spoon, not the mixers. So she would be just out of breath. I mean, 'cause she would get it to a certain point to where I think it starts to lose some of the gloss or something like that. I'd have to read the recipe. But that was key to put your pecans in and start dipping. And you gotta dip super fast because it sets really, really, really fast. So I might try to share some of those spots with you. I'm gonna try my best to make this because I'm gonna have to have my earplugs and my earphones on because of my ear condition that I have. So I'm hoping I get through it. I'm really wanting to do this for everybody this year. But that's some of the tips. And it really does make a difference. So I'll share some more with you guys later. Okay, so I'll just read it on here and we'll go through it. So you're going to combine your sugar, Karo, and your water on high to bring it to a quick boil. Then you're going to reduce the heat and cook it to a hard ball stage. If you don't know what that is, you cook it and let it boil, and then you get a cup of cold water and you set it next to it, and you will going to dip out some of the sugar mixture and put it in that cup of water, and then you're going to put your hand down in there and see, does it turn kind of like a hard candy. You're trying to get it because it'll start off soft and it'll feel like taffy, and then it'll eventually feel like hard candy. So that's what you're trying to get it to. And I'll walk you through that later. But also just make note of the water. Like if your Karo has the vanilla in it, you're going to have to put extra water in it. So right now we just brought it to a quick boil. So we're going to turn the heat down. So we're going to reduce it. I'm going to put it to like about medium. And we're going to get it to that hardball stage. Okay, and also while it's cooking, you're trying to get it to that hardball stage, you're not going to stir it. That's why she wanted you to put it in a certain kind of pot so that it won't scorch or burn while you're boiling it, trying to get it to that hardball stage. If you didn't get everything together before you started, I would suggest while you're waiting on it getting to that hard ball stage to go ahead and get everything ready, because you're not going to have time once you start moving through this. You're going to get your vanilla together. You're going to get your chopped pecans together if you want pecans in it. Get your egg whites, because you're going to have to separate your egg whites from your egg yolks. Keep them in the fridge, and I can't remember if it was room temperature or cold. I'm going to actually text my sister on that real quick. But the glass bowl has to be in the freezer getting cold to have your beaters ready. I would just need to have everything ready before it gets to that stage. Okay, so here it is boiling. I have it on like 2, but it's boiling pretty big. But so this is trying to get it to the hard ball stage. So see how when you do this, it just strings down, it just kind of drips. I'm going to show you how it changes later to know that it's almost ready. So you're just going to take a little bit of this, and you're going to put it in a cup of cool water. Probably wasn't enough. And then just move it around with your fingers, and you're going to feel it. Right now it's really soft, it's like taffy. It's just goo, it's like taffy. You're waiting for it to get to it. It's going to turn hard and crackly. So we're going to keep letting it boil, and you're not stirring it. That's why she wanted you to cook it in a heavy pot kind of like this, one that it won't burn in, because it's just going to sit there and it's going to boil, and you don't need to stir it. Okay, checking it again for the second time. Still dripping, but it's starting to get a little feathery towards the end. I don't know if you can see a little bit of feathery. So we're gonna take it, a little bit of it, we're gonna put it. I changed, I can't remember if she did, but I'm gonna put some new cool water in here, because she did specify cool water, so we're gonna dip a little bit in the spoon, in the cup. Give it a second. Test it. Alright, it's still like taffy, but it is getting closer. It's getting a little bit harder, so we're going to give it a little bit longer. Okay, so we're going to check it again. I'm just checking it so many times, and I want you guys to see. Okay, I hope you can see it on here, but you see how it's slowing down? And I don't know if you can see how it's making a long string, like it is kind of trying to feather a little bit. See, I don't know if you can see it, how it's trying to feather. You can see how it's attached. It's not dripping, it's just a string. I don't know if you can see that. It's getting to that point. We'll go ahead and check it again. So I'm mostly going by how it looks when it feathers. Like, I wouldn't have checked the stage in the water yet, just because I kind of know. I go by how it's feathering, and then when it gets close, then I start checking it. But I just wanted to show you guys, like, the process and how you can know. So, yes. You see how it's crystallized and it's turning hard now? So, you're ready. When it does this and it's not gooey, it's like turning really hard. That's what you're looking for. So, I'm going to let it go just a little bit. Give it a little bit harder, but that's what you're looking for, okay? Hard ball stage. Okay, so we were getting close. I did it just a little bit longer, but I wanted to show you the feathering. You see how it's trying to, I don't know if you can see it on here, but it's like breaking at the end and it's like feathering. Like that's not, that's like, I wish you could see it. It's like a string and it breaks off at the bottom and it like floats. You see the string just floating? I hope you can see that. See how it's a string? And it breaks off and it kind of flies away like that. That's what you're looking for. So I'm just going to show you just one more time since we're here. Let's put it in the, sorry, I'm not paying attention to where I'm. Okay. And you're going to want something to put your spoon on because this candy is going to dry and it's going to stick to whatever you put it on. All right, so now we have this and it's so crisp, it's a hardball stage where it's actually breaking off, see. So you have your cold bowl and you have your wet egg whites, so you're going to mix them until they're stiff. So your egg white, do your egg whites until they're stiff like this, kind of like how you make meringue. After you put your pecans in, you have to really get ready because you got to start dipping really soon after. You'll see some of the gloss leave and start getting kind of chalky almost right away. Start dipping really fast. Okay, so that is how you make Divinity. I'm going to show it to you and show you the difference of how it looks when you're first spooning it and why you want it. After you put yep, it's turning. My mom had a way to make these things look so pretty, but I've just got to do it fast because it's already hardening on me. So work really fast with it. goodness. Oh no. Oh, it makes my heart race. It's like as soon as you put those nuts in it, you have got to be ready because it starts turning super fast. Like, so these pieces are not pretty, but they are going to be very tasty. And I've actually only used one of the spoons. But it's very helpful if you have more than one person that can help you do this part. Yeah, I made some of these first ones way too little. Now, we made it with a tablespoon at my dad's house, and it was a little too much for me at a time to have a whole tablespoon of candy. I had to eat it in like 3 different settings. So I think it's better if you have the teaspoon size, like my mom did. Okay, so that is how you make Divinity. I'm going to show it to you and show you the difference of how it looks when you're first spooning it and why you want to be doing it so fast, because I'm going to show you a piece of what happens at the end when it starts getting real chalky. So this is the Divinity. This is what one batch made. It's really pretty. Now, as it cools and dries, it's going to harden. It's going to have a little bit of a different look to it. But this is when I was growing up as a kid, when I always liked to eat it because I liked it kind of warm. It's so good when it's warm. So this is a piece of getting it out before it starts turning real chalky. And then towards the end, the pieces kind of start looking like this. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It gets real chalky and kind of a different texture to it. But I got all of them out except that last one. And I'll show you what it looks like once they're cooled down. Oh, it's so good when it's warm. So also my mom used to put them into the refrigerator and she let them cool that way. I don't know if that's what gave it like the texture that it had, whatever, but I love the texture that hers had, so I'm gonna stick mine in the fridge too. You can see that they are cooling down and they're changing a little bit. They just harden a little bit as they cool, and they get a little bit of a, to me they get a little bit whiter. So I'm gonna stick them in the fridge now. That's how to make her Divinity and her secrets. This is how it dries. It dries so fast and it'll dry really chalky like this. So you have to get it out and get it formed before this starts happening, and it gets that kind of look to it. It won't be as smooth if you wait too long and dip it out. It'll turn like that. Okay, so let's take it. Also, in the video where I said make sure you get you a spoon or something to set this on, don't set it on your rags and all, because look at this. It's going to stick after it sits there. And the best way to clean all this stuff up is just put hot water in the pot and let everything soak. And that candy that's real hard on it will come right off if it's just in water. Okay, so let's take a check. It's been cooling. So this is our finished Divinity. See how it's turned a little whiter? It turns whiter as it cools, and it gets more the consistency. A lot of people's Divinity turns out kind of soft. Hers has a different texture to it. It's kind of, it gets a little bit harder. And it turns a little bit whiter. So there it is. There's our Divinity. It was a success. Merry Christmas, everybody. If anybody tries it, please let me know how it turns out.